Well, first of all, before we get into the tips, let me tell you, you absolutely should hire a car in Madeira. It gets a bad rap, I must admit. It's dangerous, it's scary. People are definitely put off by it, 100%. But I think that's overblown. I think if you have some common sense, if you follow these tips, you're going to be completely fine, and it opens up the most amazing experience in Madeira. You absolutely, one way or another, because I will give you a tip at the end, just in case you don't want to hire a car, but one way or another, you need to get out of Funchal and you need to get into the mountains because it's absolutely magical and it's one of the best things you can do on this island. I would go as far to say as, if you don't do that, you haven't really visited Madeira. So, on that note, whilst I wash my bike, let's get into the tips. Now, the first tip might seem like an obvious one, but the first tip is to hire a car which is powerful enough for the roads here, or the mountains here more specifically. Because I get it, it's going to be tempting. You've already spent a lot of money on your holiday. You're going to want to go for the cheapest option, right? You see a good deal, you might want to get it. But I promise you, around town it might be fine. But to get out, get on the highway, you want a bit of power, right? If you're overtaking someone, just for safety. But then also going into the mountains, especially if you're more than one person, when you have a passenger or even passengers, up to 4 people, those smaller cars really do start to struggle. And you definitely don't want that. It's not safe, it's not fun, just a little bit miserable actually. So get yourself a car which has enough power, a turbo ideally. If you can get a turbo, that would be perfect. If it's in the older style, go for like a 1.4 minimum. But if you can get something with a turbo, you're going to be a lot happier, I promise you. Now, future-proofing, I'm sure at some point EVs will become a thing to rent. I've driven in an EV, a Fiat 500 EV, and they get all the torque immediately as soon as you touch the pedal. So they're also good. But right now, you don't really have that as an option. But I've also been in a car which is underpowered, and there is nothing worse than that. So yeah, don't go for the cheap deal, go for the one that's actually gonna get you where you want to go to safely. On the back of that, and also don't ever tell me Madeira doesn't have a dog problem, by the way. On the back of that, you are probably gonna get a choice of manual or automatic. It's tempting to go manual for a car, to be honest, especially if you drive it, but you're in a foreign country, you're on roads that you don't necessarily know, I guess. And probably, if you're from the UK, for sure, you're on the other side of the road. So there's a lot going on. You've got the GPS in front of you, you've got whoever's next to you, backseat driving, new roads, other side. You want to focus on the road. You want to focus on what's going on around you. So I would say, get an automatic. I think actually automatic is the most popular transmission that people hire in Madeira, probably for that reason, or maybe not, maybe they just want it easy. But don't have this ego thing where you're saying, well, I can never drive an automatic. Just do it. It will make your life so much easier, I promise you. The only thing to be aware of on that, on the hills especially, is with an automatic, engine braking, because on the hills, you really want to use engine braking as much as you can. Don't want to be screaming on those brakes and overheat them and then you lose them. That would be a nightmare. So that's where you may think that manual would be better. But actually, if you're choosing a good car, good quality car and a modern car from a reputable person, then it's going to have a function that I had when I had an automatic car recently. You're going to be able to switch it from automatic into, not manual, but you can go into a mode where you can go on the engine braking and you control the gears yourself. So you can drop it into 3rd gear or 2nd gear when you're on one of the steep hills. Trust me, that makes life much safer, as you know, if you drive a manual car, and you definitely need it here because some hills are like this. So you definitely want to think about that. This would be the only reason why I would say if you're hiring a bike where you might want to consider manual, because obviously engine braking on a bike is also very important. You don't want to be on your brakes. But the reality is most of the bikes here are automatic. So what I will say is just be so careful. You just got to go slow. You don't want to be on both brakes as hard as you can, especially when you're going around the corners. You just need to really take that extra care. Don't let the bike flip into neutral. As you would of course expect, with the rise in tourism and the boom in tourism, there are so many companies who hire cars and hire scooters wanting to take your money. Some offer good deals, some offer less so good deals. Some offer fair policies and pricing, and some offer scammy things, trying to take advantage of you. So it's really important that you pick the right one. It goes back to not just choosing the cheapest one and not just believing the first reviews that you see. I only hire from one place, the same place. And before I got this bike and my monkey bike previously, I used to hire a scooter when people came over. So I started using the companies myself. I found one where the guy is incredibly trustworthy, fair pricing, good policies, not trying to do you over, just a really nice guy, local guy, and a growing company because of that. Fantastic reviews. It's called Blitz Rent. It's based in the center of Funchal. They are moving location, but it is in Funchal. You can hire scooters, you can hire cars, you can collect from the airport, or you can collect from Funchal and then drop off. Is the same thing, of course. I recommend them. I always use them. My grandfather visited recently and I hired a car from them. If you would like to use them, and I recommend that you do, there'll be a link in the description where you can find all of their information and a discount, by the way. Quote the channel name and you'll get 5% off your hire. And I can't recommend them highly enough. Everyone who I've recommended to use them also can't recommend them highly enough. If you are thinking of hiring a car or a scooter, no matter for how long, 100% use Blitz Rent. It's not even a question. Another precaution. It is absolutely inevitable when you get out of Funchal, you're going to get on the expressway. I mean, there's no avoiding it. You have to do it and you want to do it. However, you just need to be careful. It's not like the UK and presumably the US where you have these really big slip roads as you enter it, and you can get your speed, check the traffic, take your time, get on to the main road in your own safe space. It's not like that at all. So many of them here, most of them here are really short, and many of them are just standing start. So you have traffic coming at 100 kilometers an hour, let's say, hurtling at you. You're having to check your wing mirror because you can't see around, and then you have to judge the gap and go for it from a standing start. Be aware of it. That's probably the thing that puts people off most, I would say. It's not a bad thing. If you know that it's there and you know that it's coming, you can adapt, right? You just need to choose your gap properly and then go for it. Like, you know, go from first to third if you're in a manual, and if you're in an automatic, just floor it. Commit, but also don't be the idiot who sees a small gap and goes for it then, because that is a fucking nightmare, and it happens so much where people just go for it. The other tip I would say on that, if you see you're coming to an intersection and there's space and you're comfortable, move out into the outer lane, which is the fast lane. Give the people coming on space and give yourself space so you don't have any of those bloody idiots who jump out in front of you. Next up, a funny one for me, an annoying one for me, especially on a scooter or a bike, is roundabouts, because it seems to me that the world has forgotten how to use roundabouts. And here you see it so much, and it's so dangerous. So one, be careful of it. Be aware that it may happen. It seems to be a lot of tourists, to be honest, but then again, locals too. I don't know if it's, you know, people just don't care, or they're lazy, or they just don't know. But use a roundabout properly. If you're using the first exit, use the outside lane. If you're using any other exit, use the inside lane. Of course, until you need to leave it, you need to move over. But so many cars go around the whole roundabout, I was going to swear, they go around the whole roundabout in the outside lane and then cut you off or nearly bash into you. And then when I'm like, what's going on? Not in road rage, but like, you know, be careful, I'm here, honk honk. Oh, they get the rage. They're in the wrong. I'm at the end of my tether with that one, because on a bike it's very dangerous when a car is, you know, in your lane essentially, and they're not looking, but or, you know, as you need to move over, they're in your lane. So yes, please remember how to use a roundabout. All right, as I get to the point where I'm actually going to look like the bike is getting cleaner, I want to tell you about parking, because parking is strictly enforced in all of the tourist places and in Funchal itself, and it can be a little confusing. So blue car parking spaces are always paid. Unless there's a time on the sign that says between these hours it's not, or it is, it's always paid. So look for the parking meter. Don't think you can get away with it, because you can't. You'll get a fine, and the fines start at €60, so you definitely don't want that. White parking spaces are free to park. There's not many of them now, but if you find one, you're lucky. So you can park there. If you see a parking space that looks white, or is white, well, if it looks white and it's not, you've got problems. If you find a car parking space that is white but has M on it, you can't park in this. This is for residents. And then obviously, if you have a car parking space with yellow lines, you can't park there full stop. Sometimes you'll also see PSP. This is for the police. And then you'll see ones for taxis, but it'll say taxi on it. Don't think you can get away with parking in them, because you won't, and you'll get a ticket and you'll be very unhappy. I mean, you don't want a ticket at any time, especially when you're on holiday. It kind of ruins things, doesn't it? I'm not gonna lie, with a car, parking is an absolute pain in Funchal and around. In every town, it's pretty miserable. You can do it, it's mostly paid, as I say. On a bike, it's much more simpler. That's why I love a bike. You can park in most places. My rule is, where you see there's a bike, you can park. And it's always free, never paid. So that helps. And especially if you're traveling around, you just want to stop at a viewpoint quickly and move on, bike is the way to go. For me, should be an obvious one, but just in case, generally, the rule here is give way to uphill traffic. So on the hills, you're going to notice this a lot, especially in the mountains and on the smaller roads, they're going to be a little bit narrow. So you are going to need to give way. Sometimes there's signs and sometimes it's just common sense. When you're using common sense, it is give way to upcoming traffic. Don't assume everyone will do this, right? All right, I've got a good one for you. One you definitely wouldn't have guessed was going to be in this tips. When you're at the top of the island in a place called Petrol Stations, near the ancient forest, if you're going up there, it can often be in the fog for a start, so just be aware of that, fog lights. But there's also cows and sheep that roam around. And they're not penned in, they can just be on the roads, right? So you can be driving along and you come around a corner and there's 3 or 4 cows sat in the middle of the road. It's not always the case, but be aware that when you're up in the plateau, that's a better way of saying it, when you're up in the plateau, that is a possibility, because you don't want to write off the higher car or the higher bike, and you don't want to slam on your brakes and jolt everyone in the car. So just be a little bit careful. I wouldn't say drive around thinking, oh my God, there's going to be a cow around the corner. That would be a bit silly, wouldn't it? But yeah, be aware of that. I don't know if there's signs. There probably are signs warning you of the area that it is. If not, JoeyP warned you. And finally, before I tell you, the alternative to hiring a car is petrol stations. 2 tips on petrol stations. One, it's very easy. I know it changes. In Thailand, you turn up and it gets filled up for you. But here, you turn up, you put the fuel in, and then you walk into the kiosk to pay. So that's super simple. Actually, 3 tips. Gasoleo is diesel, and gasolina, 95, 98. If it says 95, 98, you're on petrol, and that's what most cars will be taking. But your rental company will tell you that, because they don't want you to mess that one up. However, if you're going to the mountains, make sure you take a full tank of fuel. Make sure you have enough. And if you think you're dropping, when you see a petrol station, fill up. Just make sure you have enough in there. Most places will let you go full to full, I would say, on the rental, so you don't need to worry about wasted money. However, there are petrol stations everywhere, but they're coastal broadly. Once you get into the mountains, you don't see them. I mean, that kind of makes sense, right? Make sure you have enough fuel for that. And obviously, if you're on a bike or on a car, because you're in the mountains, you're going to use more fuel anyway. So just make sure you're covered. Make sure you have enough. You don't want to run out, do you? That would be, well, it wouldn't be fun. That's the point. Anyway, if you do not want to hire a car, first of all, you can buy this bike. This bike's for sale. So let me know very quickly, because I only have not long left and it's not sold yet. However, if you don't want to do that or hire a car, what you can do is hire a Jeep tour. Go on a Jeep tour, get out. There's so many fantastic ones out there, but without doubt, the #1 Jeep tour for me is with Duarte on Madeira Green and Blue. So again, links in the description. You can get yourself a 10% discount if you quote the channel name. If you go direct to him, that is also a very good option for you. He's amazing, and I always have so much fun when I go out with him. Without doubt, the best tour guide in Madeira. So, hire a car, take a Jeep tour, buy my motorcycle, and don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next one, guys.